Hey guys, Pepperami here. This week we are making a bacon and Stilton bread. Now this bread is going to require a pre-ferment, also known as a bigger or a pulish. This gives the bread a deep matured flavour, but optionally you can skip this step if you do not want to do it, as it does take an extra 12 or so hours. Now in order to make the pre-ferment, you want to combine 125 grams of water and flour along with around 6 grams of dry yeast or 15 grams of fresh yeast. Then you want to whisk this all together. Now you want to use a hand whisk, as this is a high hydration bread and it is going to be super sticky, so it's best not to get your hands involved. So you want to use a whisk for around 5 minutes, or if you have one, a stand mixer will work well as well. Now once you have your pre-ferment, you want to let this ferment well for around 8 to 12 hours or overnight. Now unlike using bread in the fridge, you want to leave this out at room temperature, as this will get the yeast nice and active, and that's what's going to give it the nice mature flavour. And now it's the morning. The dough has risen and fallen just like sourdough, as you can see on the side of the bowl, and it has a deep fermented smell to it, almost with a slight hint of beer. Now you want to add in an extra 375 grams more flour and water, and 5 grams extra of yeast, and 10 grams of salt. Then you want to give this a good mix to form a soft, smooth dough. Now, if you're not a fan of 100% hydration bread like this one is, you can scale the water back by around 100 mils or so, which will give you a firmer dough and a lot easier to work with in shape. Then you want to mix this or knead it for 5 minutes. Then you want to let the dough rise for a further 30 minutes. Now whilst the dough rises, you want to trim around 150 grams of bacon, removing any large chunks of fat. And then preferably you want to be using thick cut as well, so it actually has some nice consistency in the bread. And you want to cut it into 1 to 2 centimeter chunks, and then fry the bacon. Now I'm rendering the fat from, well, the strips of fat, as this is great for frying other things and seasoning cast iron pans. And then you want to fry the bacon until it is nice and crisp. You don't want too soft. Then remove from the pan and place on paper towels to dry. While your bacon is drying, you want to crumble 100 grams of Stilton cheese. Now if you're not a massive fan of blue cheese, you could always use some cubed mature cheddar instead. Now once the dough has risen, you can either halve the dough, the cheese and the bacon, or you can combine it all together. Now in my second run that I'm currently doing whilst recording this voiceover, I did make one with vegetarian bacon and normal bacon. So in that one I divided everything and mixed it between the two loaves. But if you are making one big batch that you're just going to split and there's no changes between it, you can just mix it all in together. And then you want to divide this between 2 loaf pans and let the bread proof for a further hour in a nice warm place. Then you want to preheat your oven to 200C or 400F. Dust the loaves with flour or try using a stencil and make a nice pattern on top, and then bake for 30 to 40 minutes until the top is nice and crisp and the bread sounds hollow when tapped. Then transfer to a cooling rack and let cool. Now bear with me for the lighting on this one, as it's now evening again. It's been 24 hours or so since I started this bread. Now I am working on sorting out lighting for my kitchen, as I have 2 lights on opposite ends of the room and not really much in the middle. But anyway, once cooled, you want to slice and enjoy. Now for the fairly little amount of Stilton that went into this bread, it really shone through the bread, and the bacon was also a great addition as well. But anyway, that wraps up this week's video. As always, if you liked what you saw, let me know down below with a like and a comment. If you are indeed new here, feel free to subscribe for free weekly cooking content, and I will see you all again next week. Thanks for watching.